asking citizens to report for duty. Asking citizens to report for duty.
Hey, greetings. Welcome back to Soul Voices. I am Griffin Gaming. Whoa, there's my light. RPG, and so happy to be here with you guys this week. Today is Saturday, November the 23rd. Let me get my light turned down a little bit. Oh my God, I got it so bright. Hope you guys are doing well. Thank you guys for that shout out regarding the audio. I'm still tweaking audio after like 2 months. Always something every week. But thanks for giving me the heads up on that. I will check on it later on. But I hope you guys are doing well. This is Soul Voices, our show, which is our one-on-one conversation where you get to come in and talk with me about topics I pick from the areas of Spectrum, Reddit, the gaming industry, CIG, or whatever else might come to mind. And today is going to be a continuation of, a few more things that we've been talking about over the past few weeks. And I'm so glad that you guys are joining me today for these conversations. There will be a link that will pop up in the chat from time to time that will allow you to come to our Discord. It will put you in the queue. You'll be in a private queue. And I will bring you in and you'll be able to share with me any thoughts you might have regarding the topics that I've picked for today. Over the past few weeks, we have been doing topics. First of all, we were leading up to CitizenCon. I think back in October, one of the topics of our shows was Change is Gonna Come. And then the show that followed after that was a show titled Change Has Come. That was the post show after CitizenCon, where we learned a little bit more about the direction that CIG wanted to go in relation to our server meshing, gameplay, plans for the future. What was in store for us for this year, leading into 4.0, a whole bunch of things that were copied after that. And then last week, we did a topic or show called Meshing Up, where we were talking about the struggles of moving forward in the areas where they've been, working so far in the game. And so this week, basically, every week is a week where we get to hear from you guys, right? The show is about hearing from the community, giving the community an opportunity to voice what they're thinking and what they're feeling. But one of the things that we don't get to do very often is hear from what CIG is saying beyond what we've seen on ISC. We don't usually highlight that a lot. So today I wanted to do a show called Dev Talk. And it's about hearing what the developers are saying. And some of the people that I'm going to highlight today are probably people that you more than likely have never even heard of before or heard on any of the CIG programs. But there's always this wondering, for me, this wondering of, well, how do the devs feel? What are they thinking? What's their reaction to the community? What's their reaction to the work that they're doing? Those are all topics that I have found interesting. And so I've been able to compile a few comments from some of the devs that, again, maybe some of you will know them. Probably most of you probably have never heard them. But I hope it gives us a clue and some insight as to what are their interests, what are their frustrations, what are their successes, where do they feel failures are. And hopefully you'll be able to come in and give some feedback to that today. So that's what we're going to be doing today with this title called Dev Talk. So once again, the link is there. Fastcart just dropped it in. This is going to be more of a let's hear what they have to say, and then let's hear what you guys got to say kind of thing today, okay? So let's get ready to jump into it with our very first one. This one is actually a video that we watched about a year ago, right after it came out, but I'm going to show it again because I think it works within the context of this dev, the pilot. Some of you are familiar with the pilot. The pilot was known for doing videos in Star Citizen, and also he became an employee at CIG and was there for, I think, just over a year. And he ended up leaving the company. And people leave companies for all various reasons, and it wasn't a bad reason why he left. And he'll talk about that a little bit in his video, so I'll let him unfold that for you. But it's interesting because he is both a backer, or was a backer first, and then worked for the company. And then after working for the company, he comes back to speak as a backer. So we're going to share that video with you guys. So get something to drink, chill out for a little bit. It's not a very long video, but we'll watch what he has to say, and then you can come in and give me your thoughts on it. Okay. So let's take a look at the pilot.
Hi. I'm not Jared Huckabee. I no longer work for SIG, and this is outside Star Citizen. I also don't have money for a budget like the set I have, and I can't even find a place to mount my microphone stand because my desk has ridges, and it's awkward. So I kind of have to hold it like this. It's kind of awkward. But I can start making videos again. And that means we get to have a little fun. As long as I don't talk about... And there are a lot of them. Texas in general. Yeah, but I mean, aside from all that, it's probably fine. So let's talk about what I can talk about. You have no idea how hard these people work for you. The amount of things that they fix, the people that they help, the passion they have for this game every single day. There is so much going on right now that you don't even get to see. And unfortunately, I can't tell you what they're doing, and I can't tell you how they're doing it. And I don't like asking anyone to take anything on faith. So you don't have to believe me. If you are extremely passionate about Star Citizen, I am actively encouraging you to submit your resume. Go help get it done. Contribute to Spectrum. See for yourself how hard these people push themselves for you. Because they are just like you. They're passionate about Star Citizen too. Which leads me to my next thing. Y'all, game dev is hard. And I really feel like this should go without saying, but this is not a normal game. So it's even harder. You may rightfully get frustrated when you load into a new build of the game on the PTU and it doesn't quite work right. But brother, you don't know what a bad build is. 100 million things had to go right in order to get this to you. And there was blood, sweat, and tears to get there. Metaphorically. Actually, crying on the servers didn't go very well for me. It is hard work. And if you think it isn't, again, I highly encourage you to get involved. Try it for yourself. Because I didn't think it was this hard. And some of the ways I would run my mouth when I was just making videos or talking with other people about how devs could choose to fix their games. I sound like an asshole. It's not simple. That's not how game development works. I'm not saying I have to like it just because somebody worked hard on it, but I also didn't have to run my mouth like I knew better than the person who was making it. That said, things break, because that is how game development works. And you can help with that. Please use the issue council. If something is broken, go to the issue council, do a quick search to see if someone else has made the issue, and contribute to it. If you really want to help, make a ticket, be detailed in your steps, take a video of the problem happening if you can, and if you want to be real slick about it, you can open up the console and enter R display session info 1. That'll put this QR code thing here up in the corner. Adding this QR code to the evidence will help the devs track down specifically how and where you experienced that issue. And look, I get that some people feel like they shouldn't have to do this. They paid for a game and it should just work. And the good news is that you don't have to do any of this. But if you want to play and you want this issue to go away quicker, you can help with that. And also, you know, good things come to those who help the issue council. It's good karma. Wink. And good things come to those who wait. I did get a chance to make something for last year's Ship Showdown when everyone was talking about the PTV and the MSR. Just a tiny response to Jake's video the year before. And now I get to show it to you here. Enjoy.
Now for a lesson. You may have heard these words before, but I'll teach you what they really mean. Go beyond! Plus!
Come now. You really think you're the only one who can play this game?
Trap arm. Target weakness. Follow with haymaker.
Ah, there we find the ship champion of Reddit.
Competent, but predictable. Now, allow me to reply.
Arsenal running dry. Adjust strategy.
Wound taking its toll.
As I feared. Injury makes defense untenable. Prognosis increasingly negative.
Let's not waste any more of one another's time. We both know how this ends.
I still can't believe we lost. Just stop voting for the Carrick. Just stop. One last thing. I want to thank some of you for thinking I was talented enough to make any one of these videos. But that was not my department. I never touched a single one. The credit for these amazing cinematics goes to people like Will and Alex and a bunch of other people. You can see some of them at the bottom of the screen at the end of each ISC.
Make an impact.
Those guys are awesome. And they deserve all the love for the work they do.
A body.
I'm also incredibly jealous of their talent. But now, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm just stalling for time. I've always wanted to go out to this song by Pedro Camacho. My name is Jonathan Reese. I am the pilot. New ship reviews coming soon. 07.
Okay. Sorry about that. That's it. That's the video. I would love to get some thoughts from you guys as to the pilot. Would he share it with the community? Again, this video was just over about a year ago when he did this. So let me bring in one or two familiar voices and faces here. Give me 1 second here. I've got to start that over again. So it'll run in the background. And we are going to bring in Volt Lesty is here. Let's bring him in. There we go. Ooh, I got that on. Hey, Volt, how are you?
Doing good. How about
Good.
you?
I'm doing pretty good. Thank you for asking. So you got any thoughts on the video?
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of sad that this has to be a reminder for us, but it's also very true. None of this was easy, even to get to the point that we are, and to go further beyond into Pyro and to Nyx and Castra and going on to the full 1.0 release. It's not easy, and it's going to take even larger strides. But hopefully now that they're going to that they're picking it up and that they're running with it, hopefully that it'll feel like it's going faster, but the difficulty won't drop for them.
Yeah. Obviously, we would hope that as advances are made in development, that also means that, like you said, and we've seen this in the past. I don't remember how many years ago it was, but they talked about how long it took for them to make a planet and moons, and it had gone from, I forget how long it was. It was a decent amount of time, but they had gotten it down to like 2 months, and that at that point they were ecstatic. I think it was like a year before that, and now they've kind of shown us that they can do it even faster because of the advances that they're making in the tools and technology. One of the things I appreciated about this was that he reached out to people who might have felt a certain kind of way about the game. He didn't make them like as if they shouldn't feel that way. He said it's understandable when you log into a game and it's not working, when there's a new patch, and that we can understand that there's frustration from people who may have been waiting, whether it's a short amount of time or a long amount of time. But I think he also tries to bring the fact that this is also a part of the normal process of game development. And, it's kind of a two-edged sword, the transparency side to this, right? The fact that we're able to, people use the analogy of seeing the sausage made, but that often seeing sausage made, for some people, they can take it, and for other people, it's difficult. And not to take anything away from folks. Some people didn't come to necessarily see sausage made all the time. They came to play a game, where there are other people who are very interested in the development process of the game too, But I thought him being a backer, also having worked at the company, and then coming back and sharing what he could share with the community, I thought was a very nice thing for him to do, because he didn't have to do that. And I thought it was a good thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I am really glad that he put it into ways that wouldn't discourage people from feeling that way, or that their voice doesn't matter, but
right,
kind of brought them back to a little bit of reality, because I think a lot of people over the course of this development cycle of this game's development and new people coming in, they forget and they have forgotten that behind these transparent voices are people who can make mistakes. People who say something, and with this transparency, they realize that they have to tell us at some point, but sometimes when they tell us, it might be too soon. They're unsure, but it's that they're human too. They make mistakes. I think the biggest example is the Galaxy incident. I think somebody along the way made a mistake, said something they shouldn't have. And that's all right. We're human, but people took that and ran with it. The minute that their transparency, that they had to be transparent about what they were doing, it came back and bit them. They didn't have to say that the Galaxy, if they were like any other studio like Rockstar or Microsoft, they didn't have to say that, oh, we're doing this and okay, now we're going to push it back. Like, I remember Cyberpunk, they were like, we're doing this, this, and this. And it's like, well, now we have to push back development, but we're still doing this, this, and this. And when it comes out to launch, it doesn't have that. Big thing, they're just not always transparent. With CIG being as transparent as they are, we have to remember that people make mistakes and they will say wrong. They'll say something wrong from time to time.
It's a good point. Good point. Thanks for sharing that. All right, buddy. Always appreciate you. Thanks a lot. Okay, these coming in. I think we had Pops and Spade. No, I think it might have been Fist to Face was next. Let me bring Fist in. Hey, Fist.
Hey there, Griff. Yeah, to what Voltis was saying, good points. I actually watched this video. I remember watching it. It was a cool video. And to the gentleman's point, they do work very hard, obviously, of course. And understanding that, to try to make my point really quickly here, I don't think people really kind of realize how much work goes into it sometimes, until you're actually in the kitchen making it with the cook, because like I said, like I always, speak with Fast Cart and, stuff like that. I'm kind of a guy who likes watching the sausage being made, versus some folks who just doesn't, who just wants the sausage when it comes out and is ready cooked and just, I paid for it, boom. And I get that. And I think in a lot of ways, from a psychological point of view, we kind of lose touch with, these things, especially from open development. And it's a byproduct. And it's not just from Star Citizen. It's in other games. Ashes of Creation, I've seen it in there too.
Well, let me throw something into your point when you mentioned about the chef and the cooking, right? I was picturing a restaurant. Right. And I was picturing when you go into a restaurant, nobody really wants to go back and, open the kitchen door and go back in the back and necessarily watch their food being made. We just, we kind of put our order in and there's an expectation, right? Because in general, any place we go, I don't care whether it's a hot dog stand, fast food, every one of those places we go to, we have a certain expectation. Like if I go to a Wendy's, I will have an expectation based around when I went to McDonald's or Burger King or Five Guys, right? There's a certain window of time with that type of thing that I'm expecting to get what I ordered. If I sit in the McDonald's drive-thru for 30 minutes, I'm going to be hot, right? Because all my other experiences have told me that 6 minutes, 4 minutes is about what I would wait. And if I have to wait 30 minutes, then all of a sudden I'm like, hey, where's the manager? Right. Or I'm like, I'm not coming back to this McDonald's again. Right. Because all of our experiences are based around these similar type of things that we're very familiar with. And so to a degree with game development, our game development has been based around what we have seen historically when games take 3 years, 5 years, maybe even 7 years, right? And that's the context, whether consciously or subconsciously, that we've been comfortable with and worked within. And when something extends to that, to 10 years or 12 years, we're ready to call the manager. Or we may be ready to say, hey, I'm not coming back to this McDonald's again, right? So there's not a blaming. It's just that when there's a situation that is different from all our other experiences, processing that can be very difficult, right? And to V's point, with game development, even when it's done within the time frames, they have times where they make errors, they make mistakes, their times get extended. We've seen games get extended an extra year, 2 years for development. This is you don't want to sound like an apologist, but there has to be a truthful admission. I'm saying this, and I'll let you say, there has to be a truthful admission by folks that this is a unique situation. This is not the norm. So giving it that breathing room, if we want to see the thing that they're talking about, is a tough thing to do.
Correct, and that's correct. And I'll say this to a point for those that may have believed that, hey, use this example. What if we'd have moved to Unreal? Would the game would have been done faster? No, not necessarily. There's issues in Unreal too that come about. Unreal's updating every year.
Yeah, I mean, in the end, time will tell. Time will tell what was the best decision, right? And don't get me wrong, that's a painful answer to a certain degree, that we have to wait to the end to find out whether this was the best way to do it. But that's the answer that we have right now. That's the answer we have. Yeah. All right, buddy. Good stuff. Thanks for sharing your thoughts. Appreciate it. All righty. Let me bring in Pops in Space next, and then we're going to get on to our next one. Pops, you there?
Yeah, yes, I am.
Hey.
Yes, I am. Yeah, Griff, I want to say this. We went to CitizenCon. I'm talking about the one in LA. And Chris Roberts stood up there on the stage and he cried because it meant, and it does mean, a lot to him. And the theme of it is we held the line. Through all the criticism, through all the salt, or whatever you want to call it. He's like, look, I'm doing this. I've got a team around me that's brought me. Listen, it's almost like stop the presses. We can go down to planets. And, he could have easily no, we're just going to have loading screens and keep it like it was. And then he gets salt for exactly holding that line to say, no, I want something that's state of the art, something that's going to people go, wow, this has never been done before. Mostly all games, server mesh has been around, but they are tackling their server meshing right now as we speak and doing things. And another thing that I saw that was when the jump gates open up, I was like, wow. I'm blown away. And I deal with effects and what the little projects that we do. So I'm right there with him. And when he said we held, and his energy, when he stood up there and the tear came from, it kind of, everybody was quiet. And that energy kind of went throughout the whole audience right there. So they're very, very, very into what they're doing. And I believe it comes from the top down. I don't, it's a very big company, and I'm not going to say everybody in there is perfect by any means, but the majority of people, when you see inside Star Citizen, and another person my hat is off to, Disco Lando. This is something like you said when you just left CitizenCon, how he heard himself. and he still did the tour.
Mm-hmm.
He could have bailed and had somebody else do it. These people care.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. And you're right. And that's one of the reasons why we encourage people to, if they have an opportunity to go to a Bar Citizen, if they have an opportunity in particular to go to events where CIG staff are there and get a chance to talk with them. Some people, you know, understandably can feel like, well, they're paid to be there. They're paid to do these things. I think the only people who are paid to be there are the community managers. But when devs show up, that's on their own time, you know. Wow. And for the times when we have times to talk with them, by the way, we're going to be having a virtual Bar Citizen on the 30th of this month, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. Quite often the devs, they come and hang out on their own time, and they get to share. Many of them are backers even of the game. But yeah, Pops, there's a genuineness that is very difficult to translate, you know, when you talk to folks. But I've gone to 4 Citizen Cons, and every one I've gone to, I have had conversations with people who are excited. I've had conversations with people who are frustrated, not with the company, but frustrated with the fact that they want to deliver more. They want to give more. They want us to get this in their hands, and but they understand that that's part of their job, are those frustrations. And I wish there was more of a pulling the curtain back and, you know, seeing the wizard do this so that people would get a better idea. I wish more people had an opportunity to visit a studio and see what it's like. It's difficult to translate some of it. But it's a job for these people, and you're right, you said they're passionate about it. So thanks, Pops. That's good words to share from last year. Appreciate that.
Yeah, and can I say one more thing real quickly? And I apologize for
sure.
You know, and being at the Citizen Con, and I got to meet one person really stood out. Dan Daniel and his daughter. She took on something she did not have to do. And then when you see Chris Roberts standing in that long line, we seen Chris, and he stood there the whole entire time and talked to everyone. And he wasn't, and you believe this when I'm saying he is not standoffish at all. He is very compassionate. So if you get a chance to go there and meet him. He's a very, very nice guy.
Yes. Yeah. All right, Pops. Thank you much. All right, buddy. Okay. That was our opening segment there. There were some things that the pilot shared. He said, one, it's hard work. That was one of the first things he opened up with. But the other thing he talked about was how he didn't think it was hard when he was outside of the studio, not working there. He had an attitude of that it can't be that difficult. It can't be that hard. And I'm sure he based a lot of that on his own gaming experience and information that he had about game development at the time. But obviously, once he was brought inside, his perspective changed a bit. So again, to the pilot, thank you again for putting out that video. Interesting stuff. Let's go on to our next topic for today. This one's from Reddit, gang. And this one was titled, I think CIG is owed some flowers by Hellsxnt, I don't know. But let me read this to you guys. It's an interesting post. This was with the development of all new patches and eventually 4.0. I've noticed CIG going all out with their trying their best to deliver what they can in a short amount of time. And yet some things could be lackluster due to delays, lack of communication, or working between two games. But what the 3.2.3 patch has brought to my attention is the amount of fun to be had with the Idris event. I crewed up with over 20 to 30 different random people I've never met or talked to before, and crewed 2 Polarises, as well as a few other random people in their own ships, the Inferno, F8s, Connies. Me, the true potential of Star Citizen. Okay. Oh, the real potential Star Citizen. Hope you guys can gain the same experience. And even with me completing my phase 3 progress, I can say happily that I'll be doing it more despite completing. Y'all stay safe out there. In the verse 07. Yeah, I kind of had to deal with the grammar there a little bit, but I think you guys got the general idea that this person said that even though there seems to be this, all this stuff going on with CIG trying to get these features out and getting things working, when he got a chance to do this event, he kind of started to realize the potential of what CIG is trying to do with collective gameplay and how rewarding it was to be able to share that experience. That was from one of the backers, but what I wanted to show, I mentioned this show is called Dev Talk, was what a developer I don't think I've ever seen before. Maybe I have and I just don't remember, but a dev responded. It was one of the first people here, Mickey from CIG. Mickey said this: most of us have been doing this long enough to pick the feedback out of the complaint and take it in stride. That doesn't mean we leave the emotion out of it. We definitely understand when something is important or particularly frustrating. I got my career started because I was an active poster on game studio forums and saw they were hiring. I'm fairly new here, and I'm still getting used to the level of transparency we provide and the commitment we have to developing with the community, not just for the community. But I love it, and I'm glad to be a part of it. We talked about this before, about wondering, do the devs read what's on Spectrum? Do they read what's on Reddit? Do they listen? Are they paying attention? And here we have a dev who talks about the fact that they have been there long enough to pick out the feedback out of the complaint. And I know there's always been this concern about, well, if they're reading some of these posts that are, not necessarily written in the most positive way of criticism, are they shutting down? There have been people who've wondered whether or not even the devs are shutting down and just moving on because of the amount of the intense criticism that they receive. But I don't think that's the case. I'm sure that there is a certain level of training that they're given so that they will come to know how to respond and filter through what many people write as fiery criticism. And I'm glad to see that this person acknowledges the fact that they've been there, and they know that even when something is maybe written in a way that wouldn't feel very good, that they can cipher through that and find the meat that's there and maybe leave the bones behind. But he also says something here. Mickey says that it doesn't necessarily mean that we leave the emotion out of it. Okay. That they are affected, that it doesn't mean that they can just come there and separate themselves personally from some of the things that are being written. So I thought this was an insightful post from a dev responding to someone who posted on Reddit. Let me bring Fastcard in and hear his thoughts. Hey, FC.
Hey. Yeah, I saw this in the dev tracker, and I immediately thought of you. I almost posted this to you. I was thinking, this seemed like a topic or a thread that Griffin may like. So enough, you picked it. So I'm glad I didn't say anything because you're on the same wavelength. But yes, there have been, I can't count the number of times I see someone reply or post something to a dev or in Spectrum or Reddit, and then I wonder, why would CIG or someone from CIG reply to this? I mean, because for me, it's hard for me to pick the criticism from certain posts, because it's mostly complaints. So bless them if they can figure out what the person is trying to say most of the time. So yeah. There's a certain level, and again, don't get me wrong, I think that the community should have a certain level of expectation from a company that has built itself over the years, that is staffed by professionals, right? People who hopefully are hired, who know their professions and know what they're doing, with a management team that hopefully over the years has learned how to become proficient and work
toward the betterment of both the company and the consumer, us. So those expectations are fair expectations. CIG is not the company it was 5 years ago, 7 years ago, 10 years ago.
3 years ago.
They are a AAA company. We're not back in the days of, when folks just sat around a table and just threw a couple cameras up. They are a professional company, and so that does bring a certain level of expectation.
And,
Go ahead.
And for people who may not remember, like I don't want to say heyday, but they used to do Around the Verse and Reverse the Verse. These are the shows that were before ISC and SCL. RTV, Reverse the Verse, was their Friday show where a few of the devs, sometimes a lot of the devs, come by and just shoot the moon or just shoot a fat out, whatever you want to say. They talk about they talk about development, or they just talk about what's going on in the day. And I do miss it sometimes, but I can see why they made the change. So I see it. I also want to say that some people may be thicker skinned, and some people may be thinner skinned. So I hope that whoever reading these posts from CIG know when to take something with a grain of salt, and know when to pay attention. Hopefully they they're okay with that, but I can understand why some people may say, "Oh, I heard enough of this. This is too much for me." But yeah.
I would almost think that there would be a training aspect for this, because CIG wants the developers to be able to go to a bar citizen, right? Come to a citizen con. You prepare your employees for this stuff. I don't think that they go in blindly or naive or unprepared. That doesn't mean that it still doesn't have some effect. But if CIG is a good company and a professional company, you realize there is this relationship between community and this company that is very unique, not like any other. In fact, one of the things that Mickey says here, it says that I'm still getting used to the level of transparency we provide, right? So he even acknowledges that even working from another company, that he didn't have to deal with that. But coming to this company, this is a part of the heartbeat of what Cloud Imperium is. So if Cloud Imperium is a good employee, there is a training on, how to deal with social media, how to deal with if someone happens to get your email and send you some irate thing. I guarantee you there are policies in place from H&R that to help make sure that as employees, they stay healthy, but also allows them to, because what you don't want to have happen is the thing that I've heard community people say, that they start shutting down. Then that's a failure on CIG's part if they haven't prepared the employees, because they could go to a bar citizen and catch heat. It doesn't have to be off spectrum, right?
And I believe that someone once said there's a probation period before they go on camera.
Yeah,
like a 6 month.
Absolutely. So if CIG is doing its job, and I feel confident that they probably are, only because if you look, to your point, if you look at how many times devs do respond, it's interesting to see that sometimes they respond to something that you don't expect, right? Sometimes there's that thing that comes out and you see somebody respond and you can kind of say, yes, CIG is responding to that. And then there are these little messages like this one, right? I didn't even see the Mickey thing. I actually was going through Reddit and I saw the title to this thread, and then I saw that Mickey had responded. Yeah, I didn't even go
Mickey
through
was
the
twice to this
thing.
thread.
Right, exactly. So I'm just saying sometimes there's those ones that that you just don't expect, that I'm sure this person who wrote this wasn't expecting a direct. In fact, Mickey was the first person that responded to it, So yeah, it's interesting stuff, very interesting stuff. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate you coming in.
No problem.
All righty. Let me bring in Volt again. He's back. Hey, V. Hello. Volt, you there?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So this statement from Mickey is, I think, just another way of saying that they are human too. I think this is one thing that the community is certainly lost on, is that they're human too. Like them losing them trying to pick out the good from the bad and still like being a part of it is like something that we try to do as people. Like, we know when we can take a fair criticism, when a criticism is just a bad take. I mean, we've certainly seen a fair share of bad takes on Spectrum and Reddit, but I mean, it can weigh on you. When somebody is complaining this much and is this vocal about stuff like this, them being able to find one of these posts and say, and see like that there are people that do love their work, and that a lot of people do love the work that they do, but sometimes they get overtly emotional about it, that they just come out and blabber on about, oh, this needs to be fixed, fix it now, and they're just complaining on Spectrum, not making an issue council report about it. They're not just they're not actively communicating what is wrong, and if it's on their end or if it's actually a issue on CIG. And so it definitely does weigh on them a lot. And I think Mickey saying that's like being able to pick this out is something that at least probably those early on were not told about. This was not something that they had to prep new people for, like, hey, because we're such a wide open studio, you're going to see people critiquing your work heavily. They have no idea what they're talking about, but they will critique it. So
yeah, that's an interesting way of looking at it too. I'm one of my careers is a photographer, right? I've done videography and photography for many years, and I know that I have a certain knee-jerk reaction to someone who tries to tell me how to take a picture. My daughters sometimes, I'll take a photo, of them with our cell phones when we're out doing something, and the first thing they do is say, "Dad, let me see it." Like, they have to approve my photography. You know what I mean? It's like, I was taking pictures before you were born, but I give them the camera. I let them look at it, and then they smile and say, "Oh, it's okay." Very rarely do they ever say they didn't like it, but there is a little triggering there for me, because I've been doing this. I was paid to do this. My pictures have been plastered all over magazines around the country, and all of a sudden I have to get your approval. You know what I mean? That kind of fluxes up inside of me. So I can imagine for some developers, it does give a little bit of reaction. But one of the things that, to your point, Nikki says, is that we've learned to take it in stride, right? They understand that this is also a part of the territory of what they're doing, and that there are going to be people who have a little information about development. Some people have a lot of information, and some people who have zero information about development. And they have to be just as responsive and cordial as best as possible to those people when they respond to them, That's a good point that you mentioned. They are human. They definitely are human. Yeah. All right, Bo. Thank you again. All right. Bring Pops in space again. Then we're going to take our break after this. Hey, Pops.
Hey. One of the things that I noticed, it's easy to criticize. It's easy to say, this is not correct. You've done this wrong. And and to face that, and to come back and be positive about it, give a person a perspective that they may not have thought of, so that it opens their mind to what's going on. And I hope this part, I don't embarrass you or anything like that. But Soul Citizens, you come on and you give your honest opinion of what's going on. You give your insight in what you have, and then people call you a white knight, and I've often kind of how does that make you feel? you're putting your time and effort and money and things into something you don't have to do, but you do it out of the love you have for the game. Your professionalism is there and it's on the line. And when people post, I think sometimes they don't really think. Maybe some do, maybe some don't. But I don't want to get because I'm getting kind of emotional here.
Well, let me take some pressure off of you. First of all, I appreciate your compliment. It's not embarrassing, even though it is embarrassing. Let me share with you about the White Knight piece, so you'll know this. People calling me a White Knight doesn't bother me, okay? Yeah. Because I have many complaints against CIG. It's just that I don't see a reason to voice them when there are 99 people out there doing it. Yeah. I don't see when there are good things that happen with CIG. Very rarely do I see those same 99 talk about the good stuff. I see the criticisms, I see the concerns, I see the frustrations, and there's plenty of that on the table already. Now, some people may feel that there's plenty on the other side. I don't necessarily see that all the time. I think there are plenty of people, but the vocal majority is on that side, right? The side that we hear. If you look at spectrum and balance it out, the bulk of it is toward, and it's interesting because I don't want criticism to be looked at as a negative thing, right? I think that Spectrum is designed for us to have a voice and to talk about what's going on in the game. And when the pilot talked about utilizing, he talked about using the support stuff, right, to put in tickets and things like that. And he said there are some people who might feel that that's not what they're here for. They bought in to play the game. They didn't necessarily buy in to test. And I understand that how people could come to this project that way, especially if they don't completely understand. If you weren't around back in those early days that Fast Cart was talking about, when we were in the around the verse days, back around 2000, let's say 13 through 2016, everybody, most of the people who came in back then understood that testing was a heavy thing of this. In fact, the PTU was the big deal, getting into not just live, but to get in and when new things were coming out and bugs, and there were TV shows, there was things called Bug Smashers. And there was all this thing about trying to get the game working in those early days. So people who've come in post 2017 and 18, their perspective about testing in the sense of submitting tickets and bug things is probably in a completely different space than those earlier days. The white knighting thing that you're talking about, I have my criticisms, but I try to weigh out for me, and it's not for everybody. I think that there are people who should be and we have plenty of content creators who are critics, who raise the issues that are consistently before the game. I have people in our Discord who do that same thing. I don't need to add to that side when that side is so heavily weighted. I try to say, in light of that, in light of those things, which may be very true, and I'm not taking anything away from their points, here are the other sides of it. And I try to say, let's find a way to balance out those two sentiments so that, yes, these things may be valid. They aren't working. They're broken. They've been around for 7 years or 3 years or 2 months. That's true. But here's the other stuff over here that also exists, and hopefully that will help. Instead of the scale looking like this, it kind of brings it more like this. It just makes it a little bit easier for folks to say, yeah. And sometimes you've heard me tell people, step away from the game, step back, take a break. And I don't say that with any negativity toward them. One of our best friends here, I had a real hard conversation with him one day because I saw it was physically stressing him out. And I said, dude, take a break. The game will be here. We will be here. You're not losing anything. And he did. And I was glad that he did because I was concerned. I was very concerned. And I've had to take a break. Last year, January, I think after the Christmas show through February, I took a 2-month break because I've been in this for 11 years. And as a human being, I needed to give myself some time to step back, and just enjoy playing the game. I didn't want to spend every day, my days researching and putting shows together and listening to comments and watching other content creators, all that stuff that goes on for me every week. I needed a break from it. And so there are things that I wish was working in the game. You've heard me say this before. Exploration is my big thing that I came to this game for. And the only reason why I'm probably sustained is because the other thing I came in here for was industry, which is like mining and salvaging. So those are the things I can kind of do. But my real heart and passion is about all the exploration ships that I have. And none of that is working. None of it. There are people who have their stuff in the game. There are people doing medical stuff. There's people doing PvP. They're doing combat. That wasn't my interest. The thing I'm interested in isn't even in the game at all. Not one of my exploration ships does exploration. Other than taking me someplace. You see what I'm saying? So I have my things that I'm waiting on that puts me over a whole lot of other people. Okay. But I'm not out here shaking a cane at it. I'm just like, I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that CIG will deliver that in time. I'm an older guy. Some of you guys, I'm going to be pushing up the daisies. Some of y'all still going to be playing the game. Okay. And I may not even get to see stuff that I hear other people complaining about, but I'm in this ride, and I know that that's a possibility. I've had friends who have left this world and are not going to see this thing happen, and I'm not far behind them. So for anybody else who wants to think I'm white knighting when I'm thinking about my own, whether I'm going to be here, some of y'all ain't even got to think about that. I do think about that. So I don't want people to misunderstand and think that I have this just grandiose, I have my concerns too, but I also feel that my faith in what they're trying to do is what sustains me, and I believe that they'll do it. And I'm very clear-headed about that. I'm not trying to fool myself, because I've seen failures, and I know failures, and I still say to this day, there's nothing that says that CIG can't still have a failure. I've said this about Squadron 42. I hope Squadron's 42. I'm not one of those people saying, "Oh, Squadron's going to be amazing." I'm not one of those people that saw the presentation. Oh my God, that game might stink. It may visually look good and stink. Okay, so I'm not that deluded. Okay, I can visually say it looks great. Don't get me wrong. I can say it looks amazing. But whether that game is going to be a success, I hope that it will do well. That's where my bar is for Squadron, that it will do well. I'm not worried about game of the year. I want it to do well. That's where my bar is for that game. Okay. Anyway, I got some more people waiting in line. Thanks, Pops. Okay. All right, buddy. Okay. Let me bring in, I think Togi was next. Let me bring in Togi. Let me get Pops out of here. There we go. So, Pops, I still didn't get you out. Hold on a second. I got to drag Pops upstairs. Boom. There we go. Hey, Togi.
What up?
How are you?
Oh, I heard you talking about people being critical, so I figured I'd better pop in.
Excuse me. That's okay. I told you it's okay for people to be critical. That's okay. It's nothing wrong with criticism.
Yeah, and this. I'm not going to talk about things to be critical about, all right, except for the one thing here, right? Just because it pertains to this thing. That Idris event is like completely broken right now.
That's
so it's hilarious.
It's
hilarious.
Well, here's the deal. I've heard people who said they had a great time in it, and I've heard people say that it was busted up. And I haven't done it because I'm waiting for it to get, because I've done a lot of those events where they just weren't together, and it was very frustrating for me. So I haven't done phase 1, 2, or 3 because I want it to be stable when I get in, because I don't want to go through the frustration.
Phase 1 and 2 were fine for me for the most part.
Were they? Okay. Okay.
I know a couple of people that have tried phase 3, and apparently none of them can get the Idris to even spawn.
Yeah, what's the name? ZP said yesterday he went where the Idris was, and it was like it wasn't even operating, or there was something wrong with it. It was bugged. Whatever it was, there was something that wasn't right with it yesterday when he went to look at it. So I don't even know what the mission is. Yeah. Like I said, I've kind of been waiting before I step into it. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
But my larger point here is something that Mickey says in this. That they've been doing this long enough to pick feedback out from complaint. All right, and that's. What is the difference between feedback and complaint? Right? Like, and I'm not gonna insinuate anything, but I am saying that I would like to see a communication from CIG, maybe an Inside Star Citizen episode, about how they take feedback.
That'd be cool.
How do they triage feedback?
That would be really cool. Yeah.
You know, because I think that a lot of people, you don't do the issue council, not because you didn't sign up for this, because it feels like screaming into a void.
Like it feels like maybe nobody is listening. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when you have the same issues on the issue council for years on end, you know, it just doesn't feel like it's worth your time to do it again for yet another patch.
Yeah. I remember you mentioning when what's his name? The guy in Toronto, in Montreal, Benoit. You talked about, you appreciated the fact that he came back and gave some information or feedback in relation to what they had been doing. And I know that, like, for example, if you put something in on the issue count, like let's say, for example, let's use something that everybody's familiar with, elevators, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's say that comes up. Yeah, we've never really heard CIG say, here's why we have not dealt with, or why the issue is with elevators. I don't ever remember hearing anybody, or why, this is why we chose to make elevators physicalized in this universe when we know we could have done it this way and it would be this. I think that if that type of response came back, people would say, okay, well, at least we have an answer. We may not like the answer, but at least why did this one issue been around for 8 years and it seems like it's never resolved, right? So I agree. I think that not only that, but I think that how they process information when they get it, because I think I shared with you guys, there was a developer who I talked to at CitizenCon who said that we listened to people who talked about this particular issue in the game, and we went and looked at it. But then when we went and did the analytics on it, we saw that 25% of the people who complained about that issue had never even tried it, right? So then there's the echo chamber side of it, right? But we don't, you know, people would think that they didn't do any looking, but they did, and they went to the level of saying, well, let's see how many of these people have actually played it, right? I'm not saying it devalues it. I'm just saying they went that extra length to see how valid the complaints were. Right.
Yeah. And I mean, and that's also like, that's not where the questions stop. That's where the questions should begin. Right. You know, so if you can invalidate 25% of the feedback. So now what's the ratio?
It doesn't mean that it invalidates
what's
it.
the next step?
But it doesn't
well,
mean
I mean, like if you've never even, tried the system, even I would say, okay, that's not valid feedback.
Well, yes
that
and
is
no.
Complaint.
Well, not even that. I still say it may be valid feedback if it shows that there are people concerned about the topic, even if they haven't played it. Whether their detail about it is right. If they've never done the mechanics and stuff, but yeah, you could discontinue that. But the fact that it raises the level of people's concern, like let's say you and I were playing, and you said, "Oh, Griff, the landing gear and so is bad," I may not have done it before, but if it's my ship and I had that same ship, I might go right on Spectrum and say, hey, you guys need to work on the landing gear because my guy I trust told me that it doesn't work. I could see that happening too. I'm just saying, I agree with you that if they could open up the way you talked about how Benoit did about subjects, and I know it could be difficult, but I think that they can't do all of them, but those things that really pain the community, if they did a show on that and said, hey, here's 10 things that have been in our rosters for blah, 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 we're going to talk about them and tell you, or, the reason why we haven't done it is because we're waiting for 4.0. It'll be there. Or,
I mean, not even just like why we haven't done it, but how they collect and triage the feedback from it.
Oh, okay.
So that we get a better idea of like, so again, taking master modes, right? So instead of just this, oh, we don't want to do this, we don't want to do that, but actually going through and being like, okay, this is how we do the analytics on the feedback. This was the results from the survey. This was the community consensus.
Yeah.
This is how we set up meetings, we talk about it, we play test, and we go through this iterative process, and showing us that so that we actually have a better understanding that when we give feedback, it's not screaming into a void, and it's also, not ignored if we are in a mind space where we just don't want to be nice about it, where we're going to be abrasive, because again, we're human too, and we've been waiting a long time, and some of us have spent a lot of money on this. And are both emotionally and financially invested into it.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. I think it'd be a great idea. I think it would be a great idea. And we've always talked about communication with CIG as one of their tough areas that is, always needs work. So anything that they can do to make things, communication better, would be good.
Development is hard. Communication is easy and it's free. Well, probably not free. I mean, you still have to pay somebody to do it. But that's still pretty cheap on the grand scheme of things.
But it does. But what you get in return for it, though, it pays off. Pays off. Absolutely. Okay, Togi. Thanks, bro.
Yep.
All right. Last but not least, Admiral Kusanagi, and then we are going to get on our commercial break because we are over it. Hey, Admiral.
Hey, Griff. How's it going today?
How are you, bud? Good.
Not too bad. Happy Saturday.
Same to you.
So, I mean, I certainly, appreciate this guy, saying that, he sees the way the company is and they're, doing good things. And, I certainly think all of us here are, hey, that's fantastic. Good to hear, that type of stuff. The problem is what people are seeing, which Togi kind of broached upon. For a clear example, I haven't played Star Citizen in quite some time, but I was like, you know what, I'm gonna load the game up. I did it last night. I'm gonna check out these expo halls and I play Scum, and I was actually just streaming it for the owners of that server who are all in Europe, and I'm like, and they weren't knew a lot about it. They've heard about it. YouTube is, but haven't seen it.
Ooh,
so I'm like, I'm gonna stream this. I'm gonna show. I had like 5 guys watching, and you okay there?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. So I go in there and we
computer
go.
screen went black on me for a second. It was my screensaver.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So I go in there and I'm like, oh, looks like we get Aegis just opened up today, so we'll go to Aegis first. There's the other hall because I don't see it listed, so I'll just go to the one with the Aegis. So we go in there, and I was in there for over an hour. Showing them about it, like, oh wow, look at that, blah blah blah. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm showing stuff. Some things are a little buggy, like the Harbingers, the Vanguard series, for some reason were all floating like 2 feet off the ground. So I don't know why the hell it was doing that. And then I've tried to get into multiple servers. I had to back out, go back to main menu because Apex Hall would not load in the game.
Wow.
Okay. And I couldn't get into the first 2 manufacturers, Tumbril and whatever the hell the other one.
Crusader, yeah.
Crusader. So it's 2024. Like, they've done this multiple years. Like, if you're gonna have a free flight, they should be able to go and do things that are supposed to be happening during the free flight. Whether it be this
question, when you said you couldn't get in the hall, what happened?
It wasn't listed on the elevator. I checked multiple elevators. Wow. I checked through multiple servers. I could not find Apex Hall. And this is 20 minutes ago. This is between 40 minutes ago and 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, because I got in late last night after we went to bed. I went. So, but of course the other one wasn't loaded yet. So wow, that's crazy. Okay.
They're both supposed to be there.
Right.
That's just frustrating for me because I'm like, oh well, the game's getting better, blah 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 blah, and I'm talking to these guys. I'm like, oh, it's not here. So again, this is what people who are doing the free flight, people who are expecting to see something because they're showing it on the website, and then it turns out that oh no, SIG doesn't have their shit together, but people in the company think they do. So again, it's like you can say one thing, but when it's the doing part is what people are seeing.
Yeah.
And I'm a big proponent of Star Citizen, even though I'm playing Scum for the past 4 months straight. But and I have no problem putting money down so that that they can keep doing what they're doing because I'm looking forward to Squadron 42 and stuff like that in the game when it's done in 2030, but or 1.0 in 2030. But I just that's disappointing, and it's like, okay, firsthand disappointing, and for because you're expecting to see something that's at least I have witnessed before in the past working flawlessly just to be able to get to a hall. That's all I'm trying to do. I wasn't flying them around.
Right.
I wasn't going to let's go to this system or let's go to the planet or moon or whatever.
Yeah.
That's just one simple thing, and they can't get that right. And that's disappointing.
Yeah.
And I've heard other people talking about is the Idris there or whatever, and figuring out if the missions are working and other stuff. But that's besides the point. But I mean, for people who work there, they see the other side of it. They see servers that aren't overloaded with people playing on a 10-15-year-old computer who are struggling. I mean, I swear to God, that's part of the problem is because they still think a 16 gig RAM computer can actually play this thing. But and we talked about that like a night or two ago. But that's my thing on it. I just it's I'm kind of shaking my head here a little bit. So
yeah, that's really surprising. One of the big things has always been whenever these events come up, because you remember a few years back we had that one year where day one was just horrible. People couldn't even log in. It was terrible. But this is the first time I think I remember at a citizen at a what do you call it, IAE, where you couldn't get on the floor during the event. I mean, we've had that during the testing before, but I've never seen that happen. So that's bad if that's not, especially on the weekend and day one or day two. I'm not sure what happened, but thanks for. And if any of you guys have had that problem too, make sure we write up, send CI. I'm sure CIG knows because they're working this weekend, but I don't know why that would have happened, why Apex Hall wouldn't be accessible at all on the elevators. That's crazy.
Yeah, Dream Synergy's saying the same thing.
Yeah, that's kind of nuts. Okay. All right. Well, Admiral, thank you for that information. And I'm glad I went last night because I'd be mad because originally I was going to wait till today to go in. So now I don't have to stress out over that, if nothing else. All right, buddy. Thank you again. Gang, we are getting ready to take our commercial break, and it's only 1 minute long. So I ask that you guys will stick around for that. When we get through with that, we're going to come back and hit our final topic. So stay tuned, and we will be right back. And hello to those of you who are out there today. Thank you guys for joining us as always on a Saturday. Really appreciate you guys being here. Just want to kind of let you know that today's show, we're going to be hitting one more topic. This is going to be from a CIG dev. It's a new dev that I'm totally familiar with. I saw her videos a couple of weeks ago for the very first time. So we're going to show that. I think you guys will really enjoy it. Also, I hope you guys are enjoying IAE. And last, but even though you can't get on the Apex Hall, and the other thing that we want to remind you of is that we are having a virtual bar citizen on Saturday, November the 30th, which is next Saturday. It'll be from 11 a.m. Eastern all the way until 9 p.m. 2 sessions, 4 hours in the morning, 4 hours in the afternoon. There will be a link that we will put up in chat a little bit later. You do have to register for it. It's online. Hope you guys will be able to enjoy us and join us and enjoy that next week. Okay, next Saturday, November 30th. Alrighty. Welcome back, everyone. We are back. We are going to hit our final topic for today. We're only doing 3 today, and that's good because it's a quarter after already. This next one is titled Where I've Been and Star Citizen Work Update by Kelydrex. Some of you all may have seen Kelydrex. She streams on occasion. She actually says on here she hasn't been out in a couple months, but this is a dev at Cloud Imperium Games. Evidently she was at CitizenCon this year for the first time. Evidently she's fairly new to the company also, I get the impression. But I want to show you her video, and she shares some information with us as a community as well about working at CIG. So hope you guys can watch this and enjoy it. Let me mute my mic so that we don't double the audio again, and here we go.
Good day, everyone. It is time for another video. After how long has it been? Like at least a month. Oh my god. No, it must be more than a month. Like SitCon was a while ago. I wanted to be like here before SitCon and also there after SitCon, but I was just not able to either stream or make a video. But today I have time. I got a day off. In fact, I actually took a day off every week for the rest of the year because I just have so many vacation days left. Yeah, I just wanted to check in and maybe talk about a bunch of things that have happened, some thoughts about SitCon. Feel free to tell me what you were thinking about it. How do I put this? I kind of wanted to kind of visualize how it is to work on this game because it is so much more complex than people think. I understand that as a player, if you have no experience in game development, it's kind of difficult to grasp how complex everything is and why everything takes as long as it does. I was kind of thinking, I don't know if I was dreaming or something. Must have been a dream. So I was thinking about something like going to buy a pizza, right? You can buy something that is already done, then you eat it. There it is, finished product. That's a game. Or you can buy a semi-homemade pizza. So you go and get the ingredients, you can go and get the dough, you can get the tomato sauce, You can get some cheese, some toppings, you sprinkle it over your pizza, and then you put it in the oven, and then it's done, right? So a lot of games kind of work like that. Most games that are currently in development, they already have access to these ingredients, access to these features, you just need to put it together. And then that's another game. But our game is basically like, you have to make that tomato sauce from scratch. You have to make your own cheese, make your own dough, which means you need flour, you need eggs, you need to like grow tomato plants, you need a freaking pig for the ham or whatever. So like, this is a lot more complex than just buying some already done ingredients from the store and making your own pizza. Does that make sense? CIG is making a game from scratch. So like everything that you need just to make a pizza takes so much more than just buying some ingredients, which to be fair also takes a while to finish like a homemade pizza, you know? You do need to go to the store, you need to get the stuff, you need to put it together and then put it in the oven, and you know, like it has to be done right. It has to be the correct temperature, the correct duration and so on. But if you make something from scratch, then literally like you need fucking chickens and make eggs, so you have those eggs that you can use for your dough. You need the flour that you need to grow, first of all. How long does it take to harvest that? A bunch of time. I mean, it has to be the right season. Your chickens and your pig or whatever. You need cows for milk if you want that. For the cheese. Just think about how many things you need to do it right from scratch. This is basically how I imagine. So like an already done pizza that you can buy from the store is like some other game that is already done, ready to consume, right? And then you have this semi-homemade pizza where you just buy the ingredients in combination with games. It's like an engine that already exists, features that already exist. You just take those things, those like building blocks, and put them together to make your own pizza, which is another game. And then there's literally CIG that is like doing everything from scratch, and then just thinking about how do you get fucking tomato sauce. Like that alone takes so much time to grow tomatoes, to care for it. You know, it just takes a lot of time. And that's kind of something that I was thinking about in a random dream while I was sleeping last night. But maybe it makes more sense. Anyway, as you can tell, I do not know how to fucking make videos. Like I am not prepared. I don't know how to like fluently talk. So many thoughts in my head. I always described it as like a river of thoughts flashing by. And if somebody would ask me at any point, what are you currently thinking about? I would not be able to tell you, because there are just so many thoughts going by and I'm kind of like unable to grab one and talk about it. My mind is so fucking busy all the time. Which is why I usually have notes, because I need to somehow organize my thoughts a little bit more. Because it feels like everything is super chaotic. But today I don't have any notes, so I'm just here. I don't know why streaming is usually much easier for me. I literally don't have an idea why it's easier, because I don't have notes when I stream, obviously. And here I kind of have like a plan what I want to talk about, but at the same time I don't, so whatever. Anyway, SitCon. What did you think about that? It was definitely a unique feeling, because like I got to be there for the first time. I've been at conventions before, like at Gamescom and stuff, but SitCon was our thing. And being there as a backer, but at the same time as an employee, that was such a unique feeling. I don't even know how to describe it. I kind of knew what we were gonna show, partially. Like I don't know about everything, because I don't work on everything. There's just, as I always say, like this game is so complex that there is no way that I could be working on literally everything. There's no way that I literally know about everything. So there are definitely parts that I had no idea about, because it's not my like area of expertise. Like I don't work on that part of the presentation. There were a bunch of things that were new to me, exciting things. At the same time, it's not just like, wow, we get this feature and that feature and this is what we're working on. That's great. But at the same time, I'm also like, oh god, that's a lot of work. I'm definitely not going to run out of work things to do. No, but seriously, it was such a great atmosphere. A lot of people were around. A lot of people approached me as well to ask questions. Everyone seemed super kind. Port Olisar was there, for example, or, you know, big-ass ship on display. The booths where people were like showing off their organizations or like other like miniature things that you could buy. I literally don't have any words to describe it better. And my voice is fucked again, like as usual, like... Okay, hold on. I'm actually gonna check on my food because it is time. Nah, it's not ready yet. Okay, guess I'm gonna continue this for a little while longer. I don't know what to say. It's gonna be one of those other like scuffed videos. Maybe there's gonna be something more interesting to talk about or do next time, but no promises. I never know when the next time is going to be. Although, now that I did take a day off every week, maybe I'm gonna be around. I don't know if it's gonna be streams or if I'm gonna try to do more of this. We'll see. This is not as important to me to like stay consistent because I just make it based on time, based on energy. Like last week I was feeling terrible. I'm just starting to feel better again. SitCon, I was obviously very busy during SitCon and before SitCon. I was sick the week before SitCon as well, so that took a lot of energy away from me. You know, being born female doesn't help because every month you're suffering for like 2 to 3 days at least. Family was visiting as well, so I was kind of busy with that. Then it was Panda's birthday. Yeah, I don't know, there was just a lot to do, so I was unable to be here. So let me check. I don't know when the last time was I was actually around. Wait, has it been months? No, wait, didn't I stream at some point? 2 months ago. Oh, dang. I don't know. Well, it's been a long time. That's horrible. Things are fine. People always ask me after we've not talked for a while if things are going well, and yes, for me personally, things are going well. I'm literally just working so much overtime and such that I don't have time to be around, you know, like when I get home, I just want to chill, and doing this is not that chill. You know, I'm putting on clothes for this, all right? I wouldn't usually do that. And streaming, I don't think it's worth just streaming for an hour. It's too short. Like if I want to be streaming, then I want it to be at least 3 hours. And sometimes it's just difficult to squeeze that into my day. Sure, I'm free on weekends, but it takes a lot of time for me to recover from the work week because it is exhausting. I do spend like at least 10 hours per day just for work, you know, like preparation, commute, work itself, lunch break, and so on. Working longer than just 8 hours a day, it takes a lot of time away, so there isn't much left at the end of the day. What else is there? I don't know what to tell you. I had a lot of people actually come up to me asking me about how to apply to CIG because a lot of people wanted to get started at the company, and they were just asking like, how is it to work there? And I'm like, yeah, of course. I mean, I love being here. I'm lucky and happy to be here. Me and my partner are going to move back to Sweden, back to his hometown. Not because something is wrong with CIG, but because he just wants to go back home eventually. We don't want to stay in the UK forever. If I could stay at CIG, I would. But to get back to what people were asking, like how should they apply? What should they do? Prove to them what you can do. Show them what your skills are. Don't hold back. Because that's what I did the first time I applied, which was a mistake on my end. My first application was just like lacking the information that I could have given them. You need to prove what you are capable of. And if you don't do that right at the start, then they will never know. But you shouldn't hesitate and cut down on things just to keep your application short. Maybe it shouldn't be like 50 pages long, but you know, like my application was quite lengthy. And I literally showed them everything that I've done and everything that I can do. Getting any job is always difficult due to the high demand. Like there are only X amount of positions for certain things and there are thousands of applications, so it is difficult. It's so funny how many people approached me not just asking about CIG and such, but also like, I recognized you by your hair. Which is kind of funny because I don't want to stand out. I do stand out a lot. I'm easy to spot. Like, I may be small, but like I have this unique look that everyone just recognizes. That's why I like doing resin as well, because I like mixing colors, and I love having these transitions from one color to another and so on. It just looks nice. But man, as nice as it was to be at SitCon and meeting all these people, I was so dead after that. Like 2 days of walking around, standing, and, going to places. Oh yeah, the thing that I did last time was basically trying to show the difference between playing the game and working on the game. I tried to give some examples that I feel like some people could see the difference. Like, playing is literally not the same as testing it. Okay, I think I should go and eat something. Anyway, let me cut this down and just put this together somehow. It's gonna take some time to do that, and it's scuffed as fuck. Doesn't matter, but all in all, I just wanted to say, like, SitCon was great. I was thinking about, like, showing off some stuff that I've gotten from SitCon, but it's gonna take too much time. Maybe another video, I don't know. Just wanted to keep in touch, basically. Throw this out there. I'm okay. Work is fine. Yeah, I just lack the time, that's all. I try to be around, but no promises as usual. Now I'm gonna go and eat something. Okay, goodbye.
There we go. Had to unmute there, guys. Alrighty. Yeah, this is a interesting video from a different perspective, from a different dev. Let me mute her so I can play her video while we talk. And once again, this was from Kelydrex. Some of you guys may have met her at CitizenCon or seen her before. I don't remember seeing her, but someone who works at the company and shares some insights about her experience with going to CitizenCon for the first time and meeting people and her streaming. So yeah, any thoughts we have on this particular dev, sharing her thoughts about, especially encouraging people about considering working for the company and what's the way to approach them if you're interested. We got Kai Zen in the chat queue. Let me bring Kai in. Hey, Kai.
Hello. How are you?
I'm good, buddy. How are you?
Fantastic. I hope you and your family have a fantastic Thanksgiving and happy holidays to follow.
Same to you, bro.
Just a quick note with regard to her analogy on how you make the pizza the different ways. You know Carl Sagan's recipe for baking apple pie from scratch, right? Carl Sagan famously said, if you want to make an apple pie from scratch completely, first you have to create the universe.
Oh yeah, create the universe. Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah.
That was on the old Cosmos.
Yep,
The
I do
Dr.
remember
Tyson,
that.
Dr. Neil deGrasse Tyson then took over and did a redo of it. I highly recommend both of those. Check them out. That was it. I just wanted to add that little bit.
Yeah.
I don't really have too much on the whole. Like anyone interested in trying to work for CIG, hats off. Go do it. I've moved to a phase of my following Star Citizen where I watch your show for you, and I am loosely sort of keeping an eye on things. And at this point, the memes are funny. I'm not salty about investing, but I'm not super. I'm just in a situation of like, cool. In 5 to 10 years, when it goes under or becomes a thing, feel free to share more info.
Okay, that's fair. Thanks
Love
for
you,
stopping
brother.
in.
Talk
All
to you
right, bro.
later.
Take care, man. All righty, let me bring in Serious Fun. Serious Fun, how are you? Where's the voice? There he is. How are you?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Yeah, I have to tell you that one of the things that struck me about this young lady and development was how, relative to me, how young some of these cats are, and how what kind of experience it must be as a person figuring it out. You know, she talked a little bit about, you know, being unemployed, and then her significant other making the move to CIG, then her making the move to CIG. What it must be like to have the Squadron 42 Star Citizen experience as one of your first seminal, comprehensive game development experiences. You know, in that not every studio experience is like right?
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of extra things to manage when you are working for CIG in terms of the relative to other studios open development. And my hope with folks like that is that they will take some of the best practices and best principles forward and reshape aspects of development accordingly. Right? Part of the reason that I continue to describe this project as a quadruple A project is because of the actuality of how it's doing things differently, but also the potential that a successful project like this, what it can mean for the industry and how the industry engages with us, right? But also how it engages with its own community of developers at the same time that CIG has steadily had hiring going on. Other studios are cutting back by the hundreds, in some cases by the 4 digits.
Right.
And that's what struck me about the communication was not only that she had the ability from her perspective to talk the way she was able to talk with us about what she did and what the experience was like. But having had that experience at a young age, what is that going to mean for what she and her boyfriend bring to the table in terms of their development career going forward? Interesting.
I appreciate it. Again, this is developers, people on their own time sharing their thoughts, and they can choose not to do that. And then they can choose to do it, or they feel that there's a reason why they want to tell people things. I appreciated her talking about her experience at CitizenCon. I appreciated her saying that she enjoyed working at the company. She said, I love working at CIG. And she made a point of saying that our leaving the company has nothing to do with work environment or workload, but that someone felt homesick. And obviously taking care of home is important. Taking care of yourself is important. There are some things here that she mentioned about the time that she's put in for overtime, but then she's also talked about the days that she has stacked where she's now able to take a day off every week for the rest of the year. These are little insights that the staff members, employees are sharing with us about their life and what it means to work at CIG. All companies have their issues. And they have their perks. You and I were fortunate enough to be able to take a tour. In fact, our if you guys didn't get a chance to see our last producer's video, it was Serious Fun and I discussing, what our observation was of taking the tour of Cloud Imperium Games Studios in Manchester. And I told him that when I went in with a critical eye. I went in not, oh, wow, this is great. I get to see the studio because I've seen their studios before. I went in to say accountability and to see where the company has grown to now. And if some of the things I'd heard people saying about the company or insinuating about the company, whether they were true. And, again, if you didn't watch
or even reasonable.
Or reasonable, right? Or even reasonable. And if you guys haven't watched that producer's video that we did, it is in our YouTube, so take a look at it. But my general assessment and Serious Fun's assessment was that we didn't see anything that remarkably stood out in any way that made me say, well, they didn't really have to do all that, or this is a little bit over the top. In fact, we found it very minimal. We found it at a good standard of what a gaming studio would probably look like that is at the scale of CIG's company. We saw areas that were definitely showed that there was a sensitivity to how monies were spent. There were no elaborate offices. There was nothing done over the top. All the workstations were uniform across the board. Everyone had the same area of work. Even Chris's studio, I mean, we know he probably has another office, but his working office didn't even have a picture hanging on the wall, if I remember correctly.
Right.
You know, so
the only extra thing it had was a door in the Richard Tyron's office.
right.
Which I liked.
Right. Which is funny, right?
That made me feel good. Like he could just pop up and be like, come in here now, take a look at this. I like this right here.
Yeah. And we even talk about the barista station. So check that video out when you guys get time. We're not going to go into all that detail today, but I think you'll find it interesting of our own assessment of where we felt that backer money was going and how it's spent and utilized at Cloud Imperium. This was insightful. Kelly did a great job here. I think it's very honest, and you could tell she's just being herself, and I'm looking forward. And as I mentioned to you when you sent the video, I said, I had watched her a couple weeks before. I've been trying to follow her with what she's doing, but this fell in place with what I wanted to talk about this week. So it was a perfect time for me to show this video. Okay. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you as always.
All right. No problem.
And last but not least, let's bring in Pops in space, and then we're probably going to wrap it up. Pops, you there?
Yeah.
Hey.
All right. No, she was. I mean, in the beginning, she said, "Listen, I don't even know what I'm going to say. My mind is here and there, and might be under the desk in a few more minutes. But I'm going to talk to y'all because I want to. I don't really have anything planned out. I'm just going to kind of ramble. If y'all dig where I'm coming from, stay tuned because I got to check on my food for a minute. I'll be right back." Hey, it wasn't ready, so I'm gonna spend a little bit more time with y'all. But what I gathered from it is that she just had this hankering to just talk about CitizenCon. She just wanted to talk about the past months or so that she's been there in the best way that she could without revealing anything or anything like that. And I thought it was cool. I thought it was cool.
Yeah. I also thought it was nice, Pops, that she mentioned that there were people who wanted to know how she was doing. And I think some of that may have come from when the announcement went out that CIG staff would have to be putting in some extra time to prepare for CitizenCon. And so, for her to say, "Hey, I appreciate you guys checking on me, but I'm doing okay," which was nice. The fact that there's community who do have concern about the people that work there, and that she also recognizes that and tells her, community, "Hey, I appreciate you guys checking on me, but I'm doing fine, just a little tired," and that's understandable. And you're right. She was just being her and sharing information. And again, I'm only showing these things today to give us the counter. Like I said, the last 3 weeks, I really had opened the door for people to express and say how they were feeling about what was going on, because I think those feelings are very real and they have valid place within the community. The criticisms, the concerns, the worry, the doubt, the whatever that people have in relation to this project. But then again, this week, I wanted to bring the counterbalance to that, to say, hey, here's some things to consider about from the people who work at the company, and that they do understand that there's frustration, that there is fatigue, that there's curiosity, that there's doubts and all that stuff out there, and that they are trying to be as best they can, work as hard as they can to deliver the product that, that all of us pretty much want to see succeed and do well, So. All right, Pops. Thank you, my brother. Okay. Appreciate you.
All right.
Okie doke. All right, gang. Boom, boom, boom. Another one down. We got this show down today. Really want to say thank you, guys. Those of you who dropped in today. I see you guys have been putting some cool stuff in about chat. A lot going on in the Star Citizen community, as you mentioned. By the way, Admiral, I went to, while we were watching the video, I went to the IAE. I got over there, and yes, you're absolutely right. The Apex is not on the elevator. Zenith is. And I did go to the Harbinger room, and you'll be happy to know that all the planes are on their wheels. In their tracks. Nothing was floating. So CIG's folks we know they're working this weekend. They got to it. They fixed it. And hopefully they will get Apex up today. I'm surprised this late in the day that it's not up by now, but it must be something going on, unless they're changing something. Who knows? But anyway, make sure you guys stop by IAE. Don't forget, you go. I think you get the badges, and they got some new mission stuff this year related to IAE too that you guys might want to check out and see if you're, if you can do that stuff as well. Let's talk about. Whoa, that's the wrong screen. Let's go to this screen here. Let's talk about. Well, before we get into that, let's do our information about CitizenCon and IAE for the virtual bar Citizen next Saturday, November 30th. You can register. There's the QR code on the screen. I got it up there nice and big, blocking my face, so you guys can use your phones to register if you want to. There's also a link that's going to pop up in the chat that you guys can click on. As you guys know, those of you who've done this before, we do this via Zoom. It is a global bar Citizen. We have folks from all over the world that participate in this. We've had folks from Germany, Japan, Australia, New Zealand, the UK, Paris, Canada, South America, even Hawaii. We've had people from all over come and join us. There are 2 sessions for this. Please pay attention to the times. The first early session is at 11 a.m. Eastern. This is Eastern Time US till 3 p.m. It's a 4-hour event. We take a 1-hour break in between there, and then we come back on board at 4 p.m. Eastern Time until 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And those of you who are in the UK who get up early, or those of you who are late birds, unfortunately, we can't make it a 24-hour event. We would be pooped, but it turns into usually a 9 to 10-hour event on the average for those of us who are hosting it. Hopefully you guys will be able to join us for that. We do have a variety of folks that come and show up. Content creators pop in. We have people from CIG that show up for this. And so hopefully you guys will get to come in. The topics will be CitizenCon and IAE 2954. Those are going to be our topics for both sessions. And so hopefully, and we talk about the same thing at the 2 sessions. So if you can't make the morning, come to the evening. If the morning is more convenient for you, do that one. You don't have to worry about the evening one. But it's a great time to hang out and just connect with other people in the community. Some of you don't have the opportunity to go to a bar Citizen in your area. And so this gives you the opportunity to come and hang out with some folks and have a great conversation and a great time. We usually do giveaways and some other stuff. I'm still working on the program. I got to get that done this weekend. In fact, I'll get it done today and tomorrow. But hopefully you guys can join us for that. Today is Podsat Saturday, where we partner with other content creators in the Star Citizen community, in particular, Paul Shelley with the Captain's Table, who starts in approximately 17 minutes from now. We're going to be sending you guys over to him for the raid. Hopefully you'll be able to join him today. I'm not sure what his topics are, but he should be setting up. Let me see if he's got his stuff up yet, because usually by 1:45 he's ready to go. Yeah. Oh, he's going to be talking about, he's doing the lore tour for Aegis today. So yeah, if you guys want to check that out, do that. And then let's talk about tomorrow. We just finished our series on CitizenCon, and tomorrow we are going to be having our discussion about Update 4.0, talking about the things that CIG has put in 4.0. Of course, there's some things we know that were taken out, but we're going to be talking about all that stuff on tomorrow. So hopefully you guys will be able to join us for that show at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. That will be Update 4.0. Okay, I think that's it. We are going to get ready to do our raid. Once again, I want to thank everybody who stopped by today to give us a shout, share your thoughts and opinions with us about what's been happening in the Star Citizen community, as well as listening to the devs, hearing what they have to say about things too. So hopefully you guys will be able to join us. I think we should be on to next week. Next week is the first week in December. Yeah, we'll be on. Yeah. I think that's about it. We're going to set up our raid for the man himself, Paul Shelley, at Captain's Table. Not sure who his guests will be. Maybe he'll have guests today. We'll have to see. I think he hasn't changed his title, because he was talking about the lore of Aegis Dynamics before this. So he hasn't set up his Captain's Table subject yet. So when you guys get over there, give him a shout. Let him know that you came over from the Soul Citizens. Thank you guys for being here as always. Hopefully we'll see you guys tomorrow. And as always, stay safe, take care of yourselves. Peace, love, and soul. Ciao.